This is BNN, the Bennington News Network.
So Don, we're on question number 8. For over a year, Bennington has been debating about an ordinance that will encourage property owners to maintain their property at a certain threshold. Would you support such an ordinance? Why or why not?
I think I would. I'm not sure of the details. I think anything we can do to strengthen the downtown to make it look better would be great. I've not tried to draft any such thing. I haven't looked at drafts, and I'm concerned about how far one could go in terms of putting teeth into an ordinance that would require a landowner, property owner, who may be struggling financially himself, to do something to upgrade, his property at an expense. It would be nice to be able to do it, but I think you have to, for sure, look at the limitations. How far should government go in terms of forcing somebody to do something that may have really adverse effect on them? This is the kind of thing that if you can grow the economy in its entirety, if you can get the economic growth, last year's word, in the entirety, then the whole thing floats up. And everybody has more money, and people can spend the money. But when people are suffering and hurting, everybody's hurting. And to require some owners or some people to spend a lot of money to improve their properties would be nice, but I don't know how fair it is. I think you can certainly draw some limits in terms of public safety and things like that where you could force it to happen. But I don't know how far you could go. I think it's a great question, and I think it deserves a lot of study. I apologize, I have not studied that issue, but those are the parameters I would approach it from.
I think the impetus, or certainly one of the principal impetuses of the beginning of this discussion, and for the town to have proposed a property maintenance ordinance, was the downtown. And specifically acknowledging the fact that when a particular property is perhaps left to languish within the downtown, it has a negative impact on the overall impression that downtown leaves. Now, I believe that the select board has opened the discussion to a broader base to wonder if there is some need to respond to similar situations that might happen or exist throughout the entire community. We do have public safety ordinances that provide the opportunity for the town to go in and respond to drastic circumstances. But as Don says, this is a very difficult challenge, and I think that the reason that maybe this one hasn't snapped right into place is because of that difficulty, and what responsibility can we hold individual property owners to. I think that it's important that as a community we attempt to make some commitment to seeing to it that not only our downtowns but our neighborhoods improve and maintain a certain standard. And we've seen that happen in our community. We've seen neighborhoods which have struggled and now have received new vitality. Some of that has been through the private sector, and some of it has been through the public sector. And so maybe that's an approach that we can take in terms of safeguarding those neighborhoods, and responding to neighborhoods in need.
I know that there's a tax issue with the absentee landlords downtown. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that it's come up, and I think that's something that the select board, I think, is currently working on, and I think that would be a huge win for the downtown. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something to do with a landlord can choose to not rent their property and still receive income for that, and that makes no sense to me, but apparently that's the way it is right now on the books. So I think moving in that direction would be a fabulous idea. And I also agree that just forcing someone to clean up their property is expensive, and even just a trip to the landfill with junk is very, very expensive. So I think if the select board is going to move in that direction, there needs to be some sort of financial assistance to make that happen, because I think, the people that have let things go probably aren't choosing to do that, they're probably forced to do that because of financial reasons. So that would be what I would offer on that topic.
This is a hard one. You don't need to apologize because we're wrestling with that. And Mike Harrington is trying to come up with a draft that's somewhat responsive to what does the board really want. Well, you know what? I don't think the board really knows. I think the community doesn't really know. The original concept or the thought was that let's deal with the downtown area where there's distress, abandoned, blighted properties, and deal with those first and get them so they have enforceability and deal with those absentee landlords and those types of situations. And I'm hoping that's where we'll end up. The entire board may want to be a broader in approach, but going to what Mike said, we've already got on the books ordinances that supposedly deal with properties that are not appropriately cared for. Maybe we need to, separate from that downtown maintenance ordinance, revisit the existing ones just to tighten those up so that the area around people's homes are not going to be impacted. I know for myself, we've got certain properties in the area that their direct impact upon our neighborhood because the folks that actually are living there, either by choice or inability, aren't able to take care of it. But they're impacting on the neighborhood. And maybe that's got to be an approach that the ordinance deals with it, going to what Gene said relative to the support to make things happen and require the folks to, or help them get their places neatened up is also important. But the essence of it is we really, if we're going to be continuing to talk about the practice of downtown Bennington, I think this all fits into that discussion.
I agree. When I first joined the Better Bennington Corporation Board, my first naive question is, why don't we just find people to move into all those vacant buildings in the downtown? They look terrible. And so to hear the answer was because they're not rentable, because it rains through the roof, or there are holes in the walls, or the electric system doesn't work anymore. And so they're not rentable was a huge surprise to me. It impacts not only, visually what we see when we walk downtown, but it also impacts the businesses that are on either side of these vacant buildings. So as part of the BBC's fact-finding, just to see what people thought about vacant property ordinance, we held 2 roundtable discussions, one with realtors and another with downtown property owners, just to get a sense of what would work, what would be helpful and what wouldn't be helpful. And I think that information went back to Mike Harrington, and I sure is incorporated into the ordinance that he's putting together. We will clearly need incentives to help people keep their properties up, and we will also need some enforcement tools for those who are finding that it's in their best interest to let their property decay and continue to gain financial profit from doing that. So I think a vacant property ordinance is a good idea, particularly for commercial properties. I don't know whether it makes sense to have it be focused on the downtown or have that be a broader ordinance or not. We'll continue to discuss it.